Hello and welcome. My name is Adam, and today I'm going to be covering how to convert a site's theme to use within CleanSlate, which is WU's content management system. Currently there's 107 sites in CleanSlate, of which 43 of them are live. And today I'm going to be going over how to convert a theme to a CleanSlate theme. So it's just after the holidays here, and every year WU does a holiday message, which usually includes a video and some and a website. So this is the 2012 holiday message. It is 2015 now, but we're going to eventually convert all of these sites, all of our old sites, into CleanSlate. So I'm just going to take this theme right here, which actually resides on SlateCMS, and convert it to a CleanSlate theme. Before we get into the nitty-gritty details, I'm going to lay out some assumptions for this screencast. I assume that you already know Git, which is what we use for version control, that you're familiar with Hammer, which is a server for local development on your machine. I'm also assuming that you know the benefits of why you should use a CMS, the basics for creating a theme just in general for a CMS, and that you already have a repo in Stash and a site in CleanSlate for your theme. Now, if any of that stuff sounds like a little bit daunting, I would encourage you to check out how-tos and tips on the CleanSlate CMS site and go to theme development. And there's a getting started guide right here which will help you kind of go through each one of those steps should you need some help. So for us, right now we are down at the section for Create Your Theme. And what we're going to do today is we're going to take this old theme that we have in Slate and convert it to a CleanSlate theme. And the way we're going to do that is by way of this CleanSlate toolkit. So the CleanSlate toolkit is basically a boilerplate theme for CleanSlate themes. We're just going to basically take our old theme and plug in parts of that old theme into the CleanSlate toolkit to make our new theme. Just in case you're interested, you can read about the features of the CleanSlate Toolkit boilerplate or check it out on GitHub to see what all's in there and how you can use it. Now before I start, I mentioned that we're going from a Slate theme to a CleanSlate theme. It really doesn't matter what kind of theme. You could have flat HTML files, you could have files from another CMS that you're converting into a CleanSlate theme. CleanSlate really doesn't care where you're coming from, and it can pretty much handle almost any theme that you can throw at it. So you're not limited in that respect one bit. So let's just jump into it. In my code editor here, I've actually got both of these themes opened up. On the left, I've got the old theme for Slate, and on the right I've got my repo for where our new theme is going to go, and basically just our CleanSlate toolkit in there at the moment. So let's take a look at this old theme right here. It's got some images, it's got some JavaScript, it's got a couple style sheets, and then it's got some basic HTML in here, and I'll actually go ahead and make this bigger for you guys. So it's got some HTML. It's pretty straightforward, of all the themes that I've seen, this structure is pretty common. You've got in your header, you've got your opening head tags, and in your navigation, you've got some navigation and stuff, and then you've got a template. So this is the front page or index template right here. At the bottom, you've got some scripts and some closing body and HTML tags. So with this in mind, let's go ahead and take a look at our CleanSlate Toolkit theme that we're going to be plugging everything into. So in this CleanSlate Toolkit theme, you'll notice that there's a couple top-level directories right here, and I'm just going to expand this one so we can see what's going on. There's images, JavaScript, style sheets, views, and inside the views there's layouts. There's a couple other files here. So within CleanSlate, in order for your assets to be viewable, you must have these following top level directories: images, JavaScript, style sheets, views, and within views, layouts. We enforce a directory structure, so if you have a folder called img, it will not work. You must put your images in a folder called images, JavaScript in a folder called JavaScript, and so on. If you have any questions about this, you can actually go on the CleanSlate help site and check out the theme creation rules page. It's over here under the Getting Started guide, and it details some more information about why we do that and what you need to do there. So I talked a little bit about these top level directories. You'll notice there's a couple other files in here, like a gitignore file and a mock.data.yml file, a readme. So I'll cover some of those in a minute, but basically if you don't know what a gitignore file is, it pertains to Git, and it's something good to have in your repository. If you don't know what it is, you can just take it from the CleanSlate toolkit and leave it be. You don't really need to do anything with it. A readme file helps us put some notes in about our project. We kind of have a standard format for making a readme file that we're going to fill out here today. And the last file in here is this mockdata.yml file, which actually pertains to Hammer, which we'll be using, and I'll cover a little bit later on in the screencast. So before we do anything to our theme, let's check it out, what it looks like out of the box. And we can just go to localhost:2000, and I know my path is this, so I'm just going to enter it right in there. If you just went to localhost:2000, it would bring up a directory structure, and you can click on each link. But anyway, this is our CleanSlate toolkit out of the box. It basically has a masthead, a logo, site navigation, some regions, and some contact information along with our footer. So it's pretty basic. It's responsive out of the box, which is really nice. So to start our conversion, I'm actually going to fill out our README and config.yml file. So let me just fill this out so you guys don't have to watch me here. Okay, so I just filled out this this README with some basic information, and I'm going to save it. Pretty straightforward. Let's go over to our config.yml. Up here you'll notice that there's a theme name that we should have. And I'm just going to call this the 2012 holiday message theme, and then fill this out as well. Okay, so there we go. We've got our name and description filled out, and at the end of the description I've got my name in there as well. You'll notice that there's a couple other options in this file about CSS and JavaScript. The CleanSlate CMS in production has the ability to compress and minify CSS and JavaScript as well as mangle JavaScript. And you can do that just by enabling it here via these values. If you wanted to disable it while you are in development, you can just set these values to false. But for my purposes, I'm just going to leave these as true, as that's what we're going to do today. And I should note that it will not do this in Hammer, but it will do it in production. So you'll be able to develop locally without anything, with these values set to true, without any minified assets or anything like that. It's just a kind of an extra handy feature that CleanSlate provides. Alright, let's move into like the nitty-gritty details of our theme conversion here. So you'll notice within this views folder we have a number of templates: front page, back page, blog index, and blog article. And then within our layouts folder we have this default.html. So layouts are kind of a core component of CleanSlate and help you structure your theme. So basically most sites have a general structure to them. They have like a header and a navigation and stuff, maybe a footer, and then in the middle here stuff will change. So like if I click on this tag index page, you'll notice that it changed from 2 columns to 1 column. And if I go back to this other page, it's back to 2 columns. Now everything in the header up here is pretty much staying the same, but the stuff in this main area is kind of changing. So the concept of layouts deals with basically we're going to put anything that is going to stay the same across our pages into our layout. So these would be things like, our masthead, your site's logo, and maybe your navigation, your primary navigation, maybe your footer, or anything else that is global across all your pages. Now, each one of these templates, so I'm going to open our front page.html. This is what a template looks like within CleanSlate. And you'll notice at the top there's this layout : default. What this references is this default.html in your layouts folder. Now I should mention that you can have as many layouts as you want. You could have a holidays.html layout, and you could just say layout : holidays, if I could spell that right. You could have a summer.html and write summer right there. So you can have as many layouts as you need. In addition to that, you can have as many templates as you need. So we don't limit that. That's as flexible as you need it to be. So the real magic of the layouts is this ryield tag, and that's kind of where this like front page.html code would get inserted into our template right there. If you want to learn more about layouts, check out our page on the CleanSlate help site, which details a little bit more about layouts and what ryield is and all that stuff and how it's different than a partial. Alright, so let's get into this. I'm going to go ahead and move this over here, and we've got our old theme right here. I'm going to check out our header, and we're basically just going to start copying, pasting things over that we need here. So it looks like this header has a couple different IE tags in here, so I'm just going to take this, put those here, so then the meta car set is automatically set by CleanSlate, so we don't need to get that going over there. We've already got our meta description and keywords over here. We can take this this meta tag for IE and paste it in here. There's a couple. We already have our meta viewport tag in here, and there's a couple open graph meta tags for things like Facebook and the like that we can copy over and paste into our new theme here. So you'll notice that this path is actually going to change, and we're going to change it to 2012.happyholidays.wu.edu, which is where our our site will reside, and then there's going to be an image, an image in the images folder. Sorry. So right now I'm going to take this opportunity to go ahead and go to our old theme in our file system and get the images out of here. So I'm going to just basically take all these images, put them into our images folder. I can remove this get keep folder or file when I do this. I take our JS and copy this over as well. Remove this get keep folder file as well. And our style sheets, we're going to take these and put them over here as well. So there we go. Alright, so that is our main assets right there. Let's go back to our theme. Alright, so you'll notice that the next tag up is our title tag, and we've kind of already got that taken care of right there. We've got our open graph meta tags in there, and we've got a couple style sheets right here, and you'll notice that this theme actually uses a global style sheet. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead to the site and grab that style sheet, copy its contents, go over here, and I'll maximize this for you all, make a new file, save it, and I'm going to save this into our style sheets folder as global 2013-v2.css, and I'll go ahead and close that. And in order to include that in our theme, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to remove this one because it's different, and you'll notice that it is in our style sheets folder. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to write global 2013-v2 and then put a comma. Now you'll notice this is kind of the first real spot that we're going to introduce our CleanSlate specific tags. Every tag in CleanSlate starts with r:something. R stands for radius, so CleanSlate uses the radius template language to make its tags. And in this case, we're including a style sheet, or we're actually including two style sheets via a comma separated list. So what this is saying is we're going to include the style sheet from the style sheets folder with a name of global 2013-v2 first, and then after that styles. Now in our case, the main style sheet is actually named styles-v2.css, so I got to change that to v2 right there. You don't need to include the extension, although you can if you like, but it's kind of cleaner if you don't. Alright, let's look at what else we have in this old theme. So it looks like we have a reference to fonts.com, so I'm just going to put that right there. And it's got a reference to its own, Styles v2, which we just talked about. And it's got a reference to Modernizer, which includes the HTML5 shiv. So we've got some support for the HTML5 shiv right here, but we're just going to place in our script to Modernizer right there. So let me make this a little bit bigger for you all. One thing that's important to note about CleanSlate is we load the admin, so basically when you're editing your site in the CMS, we load the admin over HTTPS. So you need to make sure that when you put in links to style sheets, images, and JavaScripts from external sources, that you make those sources protocol relative. And all that means is that you just take the HTTP : off in front of those assets. So they just have / and then the absolute URL where you're going to. This enables HTTPS to stay unbroken and gives your site a very nice secure connection. Alright, so let's look at this theme here. So we've got these two tags. These are actually automatically handled in CleanSlate, so we do not need to worry about them. Google Analytics especially will be handled automatically by the system. So let's go ahead and move on to our navigation file. There's this admin toolbar. That's actually something specific to Slate as well, so we don't need that. We've already got our masthead, and that's what that partial is pulling in. So it does look like, though, that we have down here a container with a class of moon. So I'm going to add this moon class right there. And then it looks like there's a header tag in here. And if you'll notice in here, we actually already have a partial named header. So all partials are denoted via an underscore, and this is the code to include a partial in your theme. It's just r partial, and then name equals the name of your file without the .html extension. So you'll notice that that file is right here, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to take this code right here, copy it, and paste it in here. Now you'll notice that there's a tag right here for navigation. This is a one-page site, so it doesn't have any other pages within it. But if you are looking to create navigation within CleanSlate, it's very easy. There are a number of ways to do that. There's a page called Custom Navigation on CleanSlate.cms, which details all the different types of navigation that you can make and how to make them. You can make a navigation for your top level pages. You can make a sub menu, an ancestor menu. You can create a custom navigation with labels, or you can do it manually with some fanciness in there, with some dynamic stuff in there as well. So I'd recommend checking that out. But for our theme, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to basically take this and paste that in there and save it. So if we look down here at our index file from our old theme, you'll notice that there's a body ID of index. So let's go ahead and copy that over and paste that over into our body tag right there. Now if we wanted to make this dynamic, you can actually look right here. This is our page template name. You can put that in there as well, and we already have the page ID right there too. So there's page ID. So that's just helping you out real fast. So this next little section looks to be where we're getting into our page or template specific code. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take our section right here and copy all the way down to our sidebar. And I'm going to go to our front page.html, and I'm going to change this back to default because we have our default layout right here. And I'm going to just go ahead and paste in this code. So let's maximize this to see if we have missed anything. It looks like there is an image right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually go to this convert a theme to CleanSlate page, and down the page a little bit there's a bit about how to link up an image in your theme. And I'm just going to take this our image URL name equals the name of your image and paste that into here. So I'm going to paste that right there, and my image name is jpc-sig.png, and we're going to remove that. So this is basically, it puts in the path of my image. Now let's look if there's any other tags in here that we missed. It doesn't look like there are, so I'll go ahead and save that. So now let's take a look at how we're doing in our little theme conversion here. So I'm going to go back to our theme as we see on our local environment, and this is how it looked with the CleanSlate toolkit. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit refresh, and bam, we're looking pretty good. We've got our backgrounds in there. It looks like we're still missing the video. We're still missing some of the footer down here, and maybe some social stuff. So let's go ahead and take a look at all that stuff right here. So yeah, so let's put that over there. So down here it looks like we have a few more things. So let's go back to our layout over here, and I'll minimize this sidebar for you guys. So let's put in this social list in here, and it looks like this is actually something that is going to be probably site-wide, so I'm actually going to be putting that in the layout. I'm going to put that right here, and you'll notice over here there's actually a comment which I'm just going to remove or convert to a normal HTML comment right here. There we go. And let's go ahead and look at what this does over here in our localhost. You'll see that it popped up over here, but it's not quite where we want it to be. That's because it's still within the container. So what I'm going to do here is actually move this container right in here. Make sure we line it up right here. And I'm going to put this over a hot minute. Save it, refresh, and it's nice. It's looking pretty good over there. But our footer is still kind of weird, especially since we just kind of closed the container before we mess with the footer. So looks like there's a couple divs here that we need to add. So let's go ahead and add this here to the top, and the closing tags here to the bottom. Save it, check it out. So we're doing all right there, a little bit better. You'll notice that the wrapper here has an ID of contact and a class of 8 columns. And let's see what that looks like. Alright, so it's looking okay. Let's move on to the next. There's a couple layout things that we can take care of here, but I'm not really going to focus on that too much in this screencast. I'm more focusing on the theme bits. So yeah, let's look at some of the stuff down here. You'll notice that our video isn't showing up, and that is due to the fact that we have some scripts down here that we haven't yet linked up that we need to link up. So let's do that. So there is respond.js is in here, and it's already over here on the right, but there's also selectivizer, so I'm going to get that and put that in here. Now you'll notice that this is not yet protocol relative, so I want to make sure to delete the HTTP colon. Then I'm going to get the scripts that we need for our theme here, and I'm just going to paste those in right there. So I'm going to make sure to make these protocol relative once more. And it looks like I have this right here needs changed. So this is actually a good example of how to include JavaScript in your theme. So much like style sheets, I'm just going to type r:include JavaScript, and then name equals something that I'm going to get right here. So I can just say jQuery2playerCustom.min and leave off the extension, paste it in right there, and I can go ahead and remove this now that we've got that all synced up. So we'll save it, and let's go ahead and check out our theme and see if this pops up. Bam! So there is our video. We've got some fancy things happening here with the images and the video swapping out up top. So we're looking pretty good there. So at this point we have our theme, but it's pretty much just static HTML. We probably want to enable our users to edit this content right here. So what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to go to our front page right here and make some of this bigger for you guys. And I'm just going to go ahead and cut out these 2 lines and make an editable region. And the way I do that is just say our editable region name equals main. Now, in order to make an editable region in CleanSlate, this is all you need. This is the only code that you need. Editable regions have each editable region has a name that must be unique per page. We recommend naming editable regions without spaces, keeping it lowercase, and using hyphens to delineate different words. So let's go ahead and check out. And what I should mention too. You could have this be Happy Holidays. You could have it be whatever you like. So anything can go in there. For now, I'm just going to leave that at main for our main editable region. So let's check out our theme once again. You notice here's the message, and now that I've inserted our editable region, some of the content has disappeared, but there's a message that says, hey, you can change this in your mock.data.yml file. So this is something that's specific to Hammer. If you're mocking up a website and you have specific content that you want to put in, you can actually put in that content via your mock.data.yml file. So what I'm going to do is, you'll notice that there's an editable region heading here, and then there's a key of main. And I'm just going to go ahead and put in the HTML from the HTML that we just cut out of there, and refresh, and we can notice that it comes back in here. So that's really handy when you're trying to make your site look really nice, and your different templates. You can mock it up locally and see how it's going to look when you get the real content in there. Alright, so we've basically got a pretty good looking theme right here converted in about half an hour. Let's go ahead and look at, so our old theme really only had like an index template, and it's got this other template that actually isn't really even used. But in our current theme we have a bunch of other templates, and we really don't need those for our current theme. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to go over to our new theme and delete any templates that we don't use, which will be everything except frontpage.html. Now you can have any number of templates in your theme. You could have 1,000 templates in your theme. CleanSlate is able to handle that. It's also able to handle blogs wonderfully. You can have any number of different templates for each individual blog post. So it's very flexible in that regard. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take my changes that I've made to my theme, and I'm going to push those up to Stash, and we're going to check out our theme from within the CMS in production. So let me do that here real fast. So I've just pushed my theme, I've added everything and pushed it up to Stash, and notice over here on the right is Hammer. I'm going to go ahead and go to my repo in Stash, and you'll see down here this README file will change and update with the new information right here. And to check it out in CleanSlate, you have to log in, so you can either click the login button at the top of the sign in button at the top of the CleanSlate help site, or you can just go to cleanslate.w.edu/login. So you just sign in, and I'm going to go to my site and check it out. Now before I do anything here, I'm going to show you guys what it looks like. This is the bare bones site before any of our changes has been synced with the CMS. So in order for our theme changes to appear in the CMS, what I need to do is I just need to hit this sync theme button here at the top, and it's going to say updated theme, and I can go back to my site and hit refresh, and bang, there is our site. It's got a bunch of stuff in it and it looks pretty good. Alright, so that's pretty much how to convert a CleanSlate theme or a theme to CleanSlate from another CMS or from HTML, from wherever you're coming from. I hope you've enjoyed this screencast. Please do check out the how-tos and tips on the CleanSlate site for documentation, and if you need any help, by all means please fill out the request CleanSlate help form. We're happy to help you out with any questions that you may have. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you guys next time.